Hey, what's going on? It is your favorite candy lady, MrsiCandi, and I am here with another episode of If You Like It, I Love It. This is the TV review edition, and we are reviewing The Real Housewives of Atlanta and Love and Marriage Huntsville. Before I can even get started, I have to let my lovely co-host through. Miss Karma Fox is in the building. What's up, Karma?
Hey, everybody. You know I'm here. I'm here.
You here.
I'm
And
here. It's a great day.
We here on a day where we both spent, it ain't even the right time.
All right.
Karma was super flexible for me today. I love you, girl.
I'm always here. Team player. We're going to get it together.
Yes. Okay, so we're doing Housewives of Atlanta first. I want to show y'all. I'm trying to actually fix this background because I want to use the same backdrop for the ad, but I'm working on that as I'm talking. But I took notes today, and I took notes in my wonderful, beautiful journal.
That's so cute.
Designed
That
by
is so
Karma
cute.
Fox, and it says, "Go, girl!" It motivated me to actually take notes, y'all. So, look at this. I don't know. Can you see? Oh, my lighting is so bright. There we go.
We see it. We see it.
Look, okay. Notes. Look. Okay, I'm so organized. I'm so proud of me. Okay. If it was praise report time, I would be like, I'm proud of me.
I love it.
So this is, what is this, season
15.
episode 5.
Episode
Okay.
6.
Is it 6? Okay, 6.
6.
Okay, we're on 6. Episode 6. Okay, so I took a lot of notes, but I don't need to talk about everything, because a lot of times stuff ain't even really important. But I was just like, this happened, this happened, this happened. So we start off with a package flashback. They normally show us these at the reunion shows, but we get a flashback of the Kandi and Marlo friendship, okay, to show how they actually have at some point had a relationship. I thought it was nice that Bravo gave us a look into stuff that they never really showed us. You know what I mean? It kind of helped both sides of it, of their little argument for me, because we see, first of all, we see Kandi saying that people need to stop judging Marlo about her past. She's actually a really nice, sweet person. And that was interesting because everybody quick to always say Marlo slash people, she's a convict, she was in prison. You know what I mean? I think that's what she's fighting for, which I can understand that argument. Like, why do y'all always go to that? I can see if she was still stabbing people. But if this is something that happened 23 years ago, we do need to get some new stuff to shade Marlo with, because that's kind of old. You don't want somebody to keep bringing up your old stuff. Again, if I say every season I try to give Kenya grace, and there has been moments where Kenya was a terror, okay, a total ass terror on the show. Not something that we didn't get to watch and witness, but it happened in her past. But we have watched Kenya be a terror, and we've said it before to Kim Fields. And if we can give grace and still be nice to Kenya, I'm gonna need y'all to let this whole slash and go. She done served her time. Whatever happened, she got into a fight, just like the brat was in jail for, who else? Remy Ma was in jail for, okay, they served their time. It's over. So we got to get over that. That was nice. To see Kandi say that in the package, like, people want to always hold her, to this thing because of her mugshot. She's actually a really sweet person. She's a considerate person. It was like, ooh, I ain't never seen Kandi say this stuff. So it's nice to show that Bravo actually showed some old footage they never showed us. And then they also showed the footage when Marlo and Kandi got together at Kandi's house. Marlo was all hyped. You can tell Marlo definitely want to be Kandi's friend so bad and want to be accepted, because she was so happy to be inside the big house of Kandi's house. And this is when Riley was packing, I guess, to go to school. And she was telling them how her nephew had passed away. And Kandi was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah. And she was talking about how when her brother died, it was hurtful for her. She even talked about in her confessional how, like, she's really close to her family. Like, she looks at her cousins as like her kids. And if one of her cousins, were like killed, that would destroy her. So she felt bad for Marlo. I'm only saying this because this comes back later. Well, we need to bring this back up, like some extra footage. The thing is, when these girls be talking about certain stuff that happened that we never seen, we be like, I ain't see that, so I don't know what you're talking about. So the fact that it showed a little bit that we haven't seen, it was nice to give me that other side of it. And this also shows that y'all be editing stuff and not giving us stuff that y'all should be giving us a lot of times. But what did you think about the package that we got of their friendship?
I didn't need it. I didn't need not 1 ounce of it, to be quite honest. I didn't need any of it because y'all edited out the death of Marlo's nephew because obviously y'all felt like it wasn't a central part of her storyline, and this wouldn't have made y'all storyline bored, or y'all would have kept that footage in there.
Right.
So obviously at that particular time, Marlo felt that she was getting what she needed from Kandi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In addition, Kandi has never really spoken bad about Marlo when she was even a friend of the show.
Right.
So I didn't need proof that Kandi thought she was a nice person because Kandi ain't had beef with Marlo. She had her own speak on it. She tried to help her get a show. I never knew there was some beef with Kandi or Marlo. So I didn't really need to see the lovey-dovey package. As far as them trying to edit where Kandi is like, people need to stop bringing up Marlo's past. I don't feel as if we have heard on this show multiple times about Marlo's past. What I do feel like is Marlo goes to the gutter. She go to hell. She go tell Kenya her mama don't want her. So when somebody tell you slash somebody in the face, that's too much. You call Kenya and them a hoe, so she say you got a square between your legs and that you got, a billionaire. So my thing is, I don't ever hear her past brought up until Marlo goes low. So once again, in her delusions and illusions, she's expecting something she doesn't give out. No one has came on this show that I can recall and started going at Marlo's past. She was a friend of the show. She didn't even matter. It was when you started to get into arguments on behalf of Nene and start running your mouth is when they started running it back to you because you were no one but a friend of the show. So you didn't matter enough to give that much energy to. Now, all of a sudden, you a victim. Production and Marlo can miss me with this package. They could have kept every single bit of it because it didn't add anything to the story for me because we're still confused. Yeah. Now we're even more confused because you went over to Kandi's house and you were able to cry on her shoulder and y'all were able to bond. What else did you want?
Yep, that's why I said it helped. It helped give the both sides of it for me. So I didn't need the package, but it does help both sides be explained more. I still feel that what Marlo was expecting is weird. Like I'm very confused on what she wants Kandi to do about it.
And as far as Kandi going back to her past, right, after saying, I hope people don't give it to the past, when I feel as if you have watched Kandi through the years, there are like 3 triggers of Kandi that will make her black out. And that's her family, her businesses, and her money. That is where we always see red-handed Kandi activated. For the most part, Kandi be letting a lot of shit slide. But if you fucking with her money, you're talking about Todd or her family, or you're talking about her businesses, is when she gets activated. So that's her bar. Once you go there, she go low. So Marlo, in response to you trying to link this tragedy of your nephew to somehow be associated with Kandi, which you have been a part of conversations now. You have let Courtney say she bring in ghetto people. Maybe she provides that type of atmosphere. You done told everybody and have talked about it and associated her business with violence. Mm-hmm. Then she gets to talk about your history of violence. Sounds fair to me. Sounds even Steven to me. If we're going off the history of violence, you're the only one that has it. So what culture do you bring since you want to amen Courtney?
Here we go.
Nope, still on Kandi Kane's side. Sorry.
As you should be. You're supposed to be at all times. Okay, so here we go. Again, I put on here, Marlo wants a more hands-on approach. We're going to talk about that. But Marlo meets with management. She's ready to start dating. Okay. I don't care. They discussed Courtney's upcoming gathering and all that kind of stuff. I wrote in my notes that Marlo is entitled. I said, why does Kandi have to go all out because your nephew was murdered? It's very unfortunate. Very sorry to hear that, which Kandi said. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we did not see Kandi, give you empathy and say, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh my God, I know what that feels like. Da, 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 da. Even when she texts you, I'm sorry to hear that or whatever. Like, that's crazy. Why does Marlo want Kandi to send them flowers? Why? Like, I get it. I do understand when somebody dies, people send flowers, they do this and that. If they want to, though, you don't get to tell me how to respond to a death in your family. If somebody I really wasn't close to or don't know. Yeah, he might have worked for Old Lady Gang, but a lot of people work for Old Lady Gang. She don't know them. Let's be for real. And then I don't know. It's just, to me, it's extremely weird that Marlo was like, well, my nephew works at Old Lady Gang. Okay.
Here's why it's weird.
At Old Lady Gang. He didn't get murdered at Old Lady Gang. It's just weird how she's trying to tie that into a Kandi thing, and it's not connected to Kandi in any kind of way. It's so weird to me. Like,
here's why.
A check to the family because he was murdered. Like, she should give the family a check because he passed.
Well, here's why. So I'm about to put on my pseudo therapist hat because y'all know I'm going to school back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm put on my pseudo therapy hat while I'm still in school. Here's what I am looking at and listening to, and this is where Marlo has broke down in communication. When people grieve, a lot of times we offer the support and love language that we would want instead of being cognizant of what the other person needs. And that's what makes grief complicated. Some people, as we know, love language is acts of service or gift giving or quality time, right? And so when people are grieving, it's really important that you ask them, what are the ways that I can support you? Because some of them don't even want flowers. Some may want alone time. Some may want you to just come by and visit. Some will expect you to do certain things, right? But you have to be, and here's where Marlo messed up, you have to be able to communicate your needs when grieving, how your village can support you, and not assume that because Marlo's love language is buying things, clearly, because that's why she got to buy Gucci and all these different things. She feels of value with material things that you assume that Kandi would respond in that way. That's not how Kandi operates, and that may not be how she shows her love language in support. So if you wanted her, which is what I'm hearing, I don't think she necessarily wanted Kandi to buy flowers or just, I think she wanted Kandi to actually do an act of service or do something that makes Marlo feel valued and supported during her grieving time. And it wasn't words of affirmation. That's what Kandi gave. And that's why it wasn't enough. But that could have been a conversation. Friend, what I need from you is, I'm grieving right now, and I appreciate you telling me, God got me, or we praying through this, but I don't really need words right now. Do you mind just coming by because I haven't done laundry, or I just want to lay down and I don't want to do anything? That would really help me if you just come and be in my presence. You have to be able to communicate those things to your village, and that's why it's confusing for the natural viewer, and that's why she looks crazy, and that's why her life coach ain't working.
Yeah. So, question. I need you to keep your therapist hat on. Okay.
Disclaimer, pseudo therapist. I am in school.
Okay, pseudo therapist. I need to keep the hat on for a second. So, although one might want someone to show them their love language through the grieving process, right? Does that mean someone is obligated to give them that?
I would say this. If I'm going to be in a relationship with someone, whether that's platonic or romantic, if this is not reciprocated, if I can't give you your needs to make you feel valued in this relationship and you can't do mine, that's not an entitlement. That means the relationship doesn't work for me. I should be able to say to you as a friend what areas I may need more support in. I don't think that's entitled. I just think she did not present that to Kandi in a way, and the way she is going about this is dangerous. And it's something that they probably ain't gonna be able to come back from now that Kandi is watching the dynamics of how you went to other people and the additives that were been on there. You might be in her Phaedra box when this is all said and done, because that's why Phaedra can't come back, because she said a lie that could have damaged her reputation, her business, and her family. And those are 3 triggers for Kandi. She holds grudges, and you're not coming back in relationship with her from that. So it's not, I feel like it's coming off to the viewer as entitlement, but what my pseudo therapist had, it is simply because she doesn't have a lot of relationships. You see, she called her 2 management people mom and dad,
right?
But their management, she don't put people in the right boxes. She's never had that framework. And so it's as if you're watching Minnie Marlowe, a child, lash out because she don't have the tools. And she's destroying everything she touches, including that canned peach. Because I don't see you coming back.
I felt like, I guess having a little package with them showing us Kandi and Marlo actually did have some type of relationship. It did help me feel like, okay, this is why Marlo expected a certain thing from Kandi, because they actually had a friendship. Because I wasn't under the impression they was ever like friends like that. Like I thought, like, you know, like, oh, they co-workers, they on the show, they go on trips, they cool, but not friends. You know, like if someone in my family passed away, I wouldn't expect like one of my co-workers to do more than I'm sorry to hear that. You know, like I wouldn't expect like the world. And I just thought their relationship was for real co-worker. I didn't know they were like friends. Like I could expect Kenya to, I mean, not Kenya, but Kenya to think, yes, Kenya needs to be able to show up if something happened to me. Or, you know, like it's a deep friendship outside of filming. You can see that they actually talk outside of this. I didn't think Marlo and Kandi had any of that.
So even if you have a deep relationship with people, grief is such a complicated situation. You go through 7 stages, 5 stages of grief or whatever it is, that people still don't know how to comfort people.
They don't.
You know, there's friends of mine whose mothers passed. I haven't had that type of loss. I still don't know how to comfort that, right? So then I have to ask them, what do you need right now? Or what do you need today? And maybe they'll just say, I just appreciate you checking in. And that's all they needed from me. Or they may have said, can you come over? Or they may have said, can you go to the store for me? So like you have to at least check in and see. So if we want to say Kandi did a misstep, I think Kandi could have checked in, you know, hey, I lost my brother. I'm just checking in to see if there's anything else you need from me that I can help support you with. But being that you feel like she should have already knew, I think that I think that's a little disingenuous, because I know very close people that still felt like, you know, friends didn't comfort them as much as they wanted to, but the friend didn't know how to do it.
I mean, that thing is hard. That is hard. Like I'm with you on that. I've had friends lose parents, and you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. Like, first of all, I can't give you, you know, a big bag. So if that's what you need from me, I still got to survive and take care of my household. So I can't, you know what I mean? Just like write you a check for $20,000, make you feel better. If that's what you need, I'm not gonna be able to do that. But I do, you know, like, I can agree with you that Kandi could have been a little bit more like, hey, friend, I'm sorry about this. Just checking in on you, anything you need, whatever. But it was weird the way Marlo introduced the death in the first place. Like, hey, did you ever have a coworker named this?
But you're supposed to be close with your nephew, but you didn't know he worked for Kandi.
Why would you ask her if Kandi had a coworker, had an employee at Old Lady Games named this? You ain't even like, hey, friend, I'm going through it. I just found out my nephew got murdered. Oh my gosh, my heart. You know what I mean? Like that's
what you. This is why grief is complicated, because there are some people who are probably grieving right now that have went to work every single day because it takes their mind off of actually grieving. So people think because they're functional, they're fine, but they're really not. And so when people don't grieve in the way that you think they should, they think you cool. So in Kandi's mind, I thought you were okay, because if it was me, I know Kandi was probably thinking, because if it was me, I wouldn't have been able to casually have dinner or conversation or have all of this communication within these 3 years and never brought it up. I would have felt some type of way. But in Marlo's mind, she probably felt like because she don't have a whole lot of relationships, she might let a whole lot of shit slide, and then tick, tick, boom.
Yeah.
Right? We see this crazy shit that's happening now. That's my thoughts.
Okay.
To be right.
All right. Moving on, Sanya and her family, or Sanya and her family, they were talking about, her clothing brand or something's gonna be on some type of network. That's great. Her moving, the family moving out, they felt a certain kind of way about it. The only thing that I picked off that scene was I love that their accents are so strong. I was really enjoying listening to them talk like boom the clock. I was like, yes. So did you get
want
anything?
the producers to ask better questions in confessionals,
Oh,
because I would have wanted to interview the sister and say, so last time you were ready to go because you felt like you weren't appreciated, and now you're asking her, did she fight for you to stay? What is it? Do you want to stay, or do you just feel like she never fights and appreciates the value that you do bring? I want the producers to act, because their storyline is confusing too. Sis, I thought you wanted to go. Sis, I thought you didn't like her. Now you asking her about their dynamic is confusing too. And sometimes people don't know how it looks on the screen. That's why I'm really upset at production, because the confessionals, you're supposed to kind of expand the story out and ask some questions that can make them think, or put some pieces together that maybe they don't see when they're in the current situation that's being missed in Sanya's storyline, and why people are bored because people are not getting what is their problem.
The sad thing is I actually like Sanya's personality. I like her family.
But her storyboard,
the story is just so all over and weird. I really, because she is more calm, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not rah, 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 rah. I actually relate to her more because I don't do all of that. Like, whatever y'all got going on, I'm not doing that. So I like that she has that personality where she is more so like, okay, chill, but her story just makes no sense to me. And I don't like not being able to see her husband. So I don't like that. But moving on, Kenya Moore is building a Kenya Moore hair spa. Congratulations! It's gonna be nice. I'm proud that Kenya is figuring out a way to keep this bag going, because this show might not last. So this is good.
You know what it is too when we're on Kenya, because we have followed Kenya and Kandi for the past decade, and why it's an ensemble cast and why it's important is at times Kenya and Kandi, like everybody on the show, ain't gonna have a whole lot of shit going on. Just like in real life, you may have a season of drama, and then you may have some seasons of peace. And right now, I don't even think that it's that Kandi and Kenya aren't delivering story. I just don't think they're in the same spot. But this is why you have an ensemble cast. These other ones, when somebody's life is okay, somebody else's life needs to be effed up to balance the board, and the board ain't balanced. So unfortunately, even with Kenya this season, I think it's making viewers be like, why is Kenya even here? But that's only because in past seasons, when one person's story was dry, somebody else led the charge, and so it never felt like this is a stale show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, like, we talked about the Real Housewives of Atlanta revamp. You guys check the link so you guys can watch that, because Karma had the whole show revamped, and y'all can see exactly the ideas she think that would help keep this show going. But with Kenya, Kenya has more story to tell. You know what I'm saying? If they are able to tell it, and it's not like an NDA or gag order and she can't do certain stuff. There's a lot of stuff about Kenya, especially now in this in this chapter of her life that would interest a lot of people.
I want to know about her co-parenting life.
Right.
And I want to know about how, because since Kenya has became Brooklyn's mother, Kenya has calmed down a whole lot compared to past seasons.
Yeah.
And I love that for her. I want to see what the parenting and co-parenting is like. And I want to see if Brooklyn has relationships with Mark's family and what that dynamic looks like. Because sometimes co-parenting with a village can be just as much as a headache as co-parenting with a person. So where is that dynamic at? And where is Brooklyn when it comes to your aunt and your cousin? And how does that and the dad, how does that dynamic work? So I want to see, because I think it's natural to her story and her life. I want to see how Kenya parents amongst the village that she has and how hard it is or easy it is of her navigation of it.
I agree. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying there's still room for Kenya. There's definitely room. But again, when it comes to, she's going through a divorce. She's like right now, currently in the midst of this. So,
but how is he seeing Brooklyn?
Right. But again,
okay, you can't talk about the divorce. What else do we have? Because Mark sounds like an atrocious person. So, so how are you navigating that with Brooklyn? That's what we needed to see. And I feel like, once again, production, when it came to this storyboard for Kenya, fell flat.
Now, one thing Kenya said in one of her confessionals was, because she's starting a date, right? She said, I've been a wife for 5 years. And I just started laughing like, have you? Because
you know how that off and on stuff go. They just add up the years because it was off and it was on and it was on and it was off.
She was married for like 2 and been going through a divorce for 3 years. So
on paper, when they divorce, it'll be 5 years.
Yeah, true.
And that's what she had.
Okay. So she speaks on Marlo, and she talks about Marlo being in jail for 6 months. She slashed somebody's face and had to serve 6 months in jail for this. You think that's enough time?
The other second part is that lady ended up killing herself, unaliving herself later on. I don't know if there was a connection between the incident of her face, unfortunately, and what led her to unaliving herself. But that young lady, that victim, is no longer here. Gotcha. I know Marlo has talked about it in 2012 with interviews saying she was in defense of herself, and that was a fight that ended up happening. I don't know, but I think what Kenya has been trying to introduce and show is that Marlo's character is questionable. And I think for Kenya, it makes sense for her to do this because her and Marlo have always had this on and off. And Kenya has tried to extend niceness to Marlo, and then they would get back into it, and then they'd be cool again, and then not. So them two being arch nemesis and Kenya bringing up her past makes total sense to me. Because in all fairness, Marlo, you did the same with Kenya.
Right. Now, hopefully we can get over it for the both of y'all, but we'll see. Cherie's a granny. She's a GG. I did enjoy this story for Sheree. I was very happy that they showed that. Cairo is a hands-on dad. Yeah, my son name is Cairo too, so I love him. We've watched him grow up, like from first season of Housewives of Atlanta. He was a little boy. So we've watched him grow up. He is now a father to a little girl, and seeing him with his baby was so beautiful. And seeing Sheree be a grandma and hold the baby, and all of that. That is what I need from Sheree. I don't need like fake storylines to look like you got certain stuff that you really don't. Like, this is interesting. Talking about your fibroids is interesting because this is what is relatable. People that are Sheree's age are becoming grandparents. People that are Sheree's age are dealing with certain health, with menopause and certain things going on with their body. So show us that. Show us that you're normal and be relatable. So I was like, hey, Sheree, good job. Thank you for giving us this little bit of moment. I liked it. Did you enjoy that, Carmen?
I'm so over Sheree. I love that she's a GG, which I think she said was a grandma or whatever. Everything about Sheree seems gorgeous, grandma. Yeah. Everything packaged about Sheree for me seems disingenuous. It always seems for seasons now a part of production. Hey, can y'all come over so the baby can come and be like everything? Nothing about her seems natural, and I don't trust her storyline because she's giving me so much produced storyline. Yeah. Even if I want to enjoy this scene in the back of my mind, I'm like, did you just ask them to come back?
Yeah. I mean, I get that too.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't get to see genuineness from you and authenticity. That I still think you text Cairo and told him what day filming was and to bring the baby back.
And I guess why I focus on that scene the most, I focus on Cairo. I got to see Cairo as a grown man, hands-on with his daughter, with the daughter's mom. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't even. I saw Sheree hold the baby.
Exactly. She
but I got to see her son, and her son is an extension of her. So I was just happy to see like something that did seem real. You are really a grandma. This is really your son. This is his baby. You know, like that felt real. Sheree part, you know.
We were there for Cairo. Let's just keep it up. We were there for Cairo, especially because we know how Bob was, and seeing Cairo and his interaction, that's what melted y'all heart. Y'all don't give a damn about Sheree.
And you right. You right. All right, we got Drew. She had family time. One thing that Drew kept saying, and they showed it at the very end, because I wrote this down, because I was like, why does she keep saying this? She from Chi, and in Chicago, they don't use the word shooting and getting shot. I was like, okay, I got family in Chicago. What are you talking about? Like, people in Chicago, please let me know. Is there some unwritten, like, code that y'all go by where y'all don't say the word shooting because it's so much violence?
Never heard of it.
Right? Never heard of it. Why does she
most people from Cincinnati migrate to Chicago and Atlanta?
Yeah.
Like most of the people in my generation have migrated to Chicago and Atlanta. And so I have many friends in both areas. I have never even heard native Chicagoans not say, oh boy, was shot. I've never, Chicago doesn't even have its own accent. Like, there's people I wouldn't even know that came to Cincinnati from Chicago, but by the way we talk, unless they use a certain slang term, they don't even sound different from us. So, girl, bye. You
made that up.
That word, because they just showed you using it multiple times.
Yeah, it was weird. That was just so weird. How did your brain come up with that as an excuse? Like, that's the thing too. When people want to be, I'm from Detroit, I'm from Chicago, like everybody want to just use these cities as something. Don't do that. Like, don't represent them saying they don't say stuff that they actually say. That was so weird to me that she stood on that. Like, I'm from Chicago, we don't say that. Girl, what?
This is what Sonya be talking about that be pissing her off about Drew, where I'm going to back Sonya about it. This bad acting, this in and out you do, this selective memory, that's what makes Sonya irritable with Drew. And it irritates me too as a viewer. Like, girl, bye.
Okay, so let's see. They talk about the Marlo fight as well. All right, cool. Courtney's get together. Courtney is having to get together. Surprisingly, we got people coming that don't even really rock with Courtney, like Kandi. She is gonna come because Monietta said, "Come on through." So she's gonna come.
Friends have events. I don't ever recall this in RHOA history.
No,
I've never went to a Marlo event or Italian event.
Remember,
I've got a friend.
Remember when they went to Fallon's house for the pool?
Fallon wasn't a friend.
She wasn't a friend. She wasn't a housewife. She was a friend.
She was a friend of the show at the time. I thought Fallon was a housewife.
No, she was trying to be a housewife, but she was a
She didn't have an event though. Portia came over for them to swim, right?
Right. It was Portia and Tanya. They had came over there, but it wasn't
swim.
And then didn't they? She did the Halloween party was at her house too, where all the girls came to her house for the Halloween party. But she was a friend of the show, so I think that's how they try to get acclimated as an actual housewife by hostess up at their house. Or
you know what? I'm probably being biased because I don't know Courtney's presence and I don't understand. But that's probably why I'm being a little biased here. You're right. So Courtney has her little shindig. Go ahead.
Yes, she has a little thing at a little place. It looked like it'd be fun too. I was like, oh, this is different. It looked, when they actually show what they did. But let's get to the ladies get there. Cool, everything's great. But it gets to the point where before Kandi gets there, Kenya tells her about the stuff Marlo was saying about the nephew passing, how Kandi wasn't there for her and all this kind of stuff. So Kandi goes in there on one already, like, man, I'm irritated. I'm about to like whatever. So people say, you okay? No. You know what? Before we even get started, because I'm about to sit here with an attitude, Marlo, I need to ask you a question. What did you say about your cousin? Something dying? Like what? And it was crazy to me because Kandi then he kept saying it. It wasn't. She wasn't. What did she say, cousin? Because it was Marlo's nephew, but Kandi was so far removed from your uncle died.
Kandi was listen how close Kandi was this close from saying F you, F your nephew, cousin, nephew. That's how close Kandi was.
She was
from just flat out saying F you and everybody that died under you. I really don't care. That's how close she was.
So she approached Marlo like, I heard this. What'd you say? What I do? What? And Marlo said, you know what? I want to talk to you and Drew to the side. Let's go. So they go talk and it just goes completely left. And I disagree with that too. And the whole thing is what we talked about earlier. It's more so from the viewer's perspective. Marlo, like, what the hell did you want Kandi to do? And I feel like that should have just been a question when it comes to your love language. What you needed to grieve? What did you need from me? Okay. Because you did, like you said, you did come to the house. I do like how Kandi tried to act like that ain't happened though. She was like, you text me, but yeah, no, I came to your house and we talked about it. And the Kandi was kind of like looking like, okay, whatever. That wasn't aired though, so who gives a shit? But but I feel like that's a moment where it's like, okay, you're right. You did come to the house and we did talk about your nephew. And I told you how I could understand that because I'm close to my family as well. Now, I didn't like not support you when you came over and talked about it. What else did you need from me, Marlo? Because you didn't ask me for anything else. Like I want to know exactly what Marlo needed from Kandi. Because
girl, this is past the point of this nephew. Marlo's issue with Kandi changes per episode. It changes. The issue changes per episode. One, you said Kandi doesn't show her life and that you were upset with Drew because y'all feel like that y'all kissed Kandi's ass.
Yeah.
Then it was an issue where you feel like she didn't even tell you your condolences. We found out that was a lie. Mm-hmm. Then it was you felt like she should have sent some flowers or something. Your issue of support continuously changes for your need from Kandi, which makes me also feel like this don't even seem like it's completely about your nephew. I think it's just about, again, you not being accepted in a way that you want from Candid Yanks.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't get to go on the same trips as Kenya does. Maybe when she does certain things with her friends, maybe she doesn't call you.
You don't.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it is way more than this nephew story. And we're trying to get to the Blues Clues bottom of it. And I'm tired. And if I was Kandi, it wouldn't have been no private conversation because you've already talked about it publicly. Yeah. So now everybody already at the table knows because you told one person and they told somebody else. So we're all about to have the conversation about what you said and what Drew said and what Kenya told me. That'd have been a group discussion because once it hits the group, ain't no privacy because you could have been talked to me separately.
Yeah.
So Kandi was still better than me because you couldn't tell me to go nowhere. No, I want you to say it like you said it when I wasn't here.
Right. All of that just kind of, I was like, oh my God. Like, they were trying to separate. Kandi was ready to fight. Like Kandi one of them people where when she get mad, your friends can't even hold you back. You're going to start swinging on your friends because she told Kenya, if she pop, don't touch me. Like, girl.
I'd have been looking at Kandi Yams like, I know a Grammy Award winning, totally nominated bitch ain't telling me to hold her back from shit, but you ain't fit to hit her. Me and Kandi would have been boxing. You hear me? You ain't fit to hit me. You fit to go sit your ass down or I'm going to call Todd. We're not doing this today.
And that's your hot ass down. Kandi definitely got to learn how to. You got too much to lose, Kandi. Let's be clear. You have too much to lose.
Red-handed Kandi every few years in her defense. It's not really like Kandi is this. irate where she wants to fight. The times Kandi been activated, it has made sense for the activation.
Yeah.
So I mean, I ain't really too upset. We ain't never really got to get Kandi off of somebody like this, like we did Portia. So
Yeah.
I
feel like Kandi gets stopped though. Like no one has like released Kandi to actually do it because people do jump up and they be like, "Hey, like
hey now, like Nene at the pillow party, she said, "Hey, you got businesses now. You got to remind Kandi of the bag to bring her down.
Yes.
Hey, ma'am, you got real things out here. You can't be messing up."
And I
Did you think Marlo was aggressive? Because that was the conversation that brought Tanya and all them in. Is that Drew said you're being aggressive, and Tanya Tanya. See, I keep forgetting Metals. Metals has said, you know, she's not being aggressive, her hands on her hip. Did you feel like Marlo was aggressive in the moment of Kandi and Marlo?
I don't know. I don't know who triggered the aggression of it because I feel like at one point they were both aggressive. I feel like Marlo knows how to taunt you without doing too much too.
I was gonna say that I think Marlo's passive aggressive.
Yeah.
You done solved all this shit, right? That now has gotten back to Kandi. So yeah, Kandi's coming in on one aggressive. You've been passive aggressive this entire time, and now she won't smoke. Well, we're not gonna act like it. She just came into this conversation with absolutely no. We have seen you've been talking shit, getting it wrong, lying about it. So now she on one. Yeah. Congratulations.
You got what you wanted, right?
You got what you wanted. You wanted her activated. You wanted her seen in a bad light. Well, congratulations.
I just want Kandi to be thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because again, Kandi, you got to be held back. Because I think people know that if they don't hold you back, you going to do something you going to regret later. And then you're going to be the one that's going to have a mugshot for hurting someone. It could happen just like that. I don't know Marlo's background or what happened and how it happened. But if someone comes at me and I feel like I got to defend myself, I might cut you. You know what I'm saying? So again,
I mean, Marlo's a 6'5", 62-foot carrying person. I mean, she's tall. She's got a huge foot. You know, that's a tall order to fill. You know, that's gonna get violent.
Okay, so that's that review for me. That you good? Moving on. You got any final thoughts?
I am just really reserving my overall. Like, I give this episode a C. And here's the thing, I'm trying to wait until maybe more story comes, like maybe mid-season. I'm not even so much as mad at the girls as I am with production this season. I'm not a fan of how production is choosing the story selection and the storyboarding. I'm not a fan of the editing. I'm not a fan of the non-questions we're not asking in the confessionals. It's just getting dry. It's getting stale. I don't like it. So that's kind of that. So we're gonna move on to Love and Marriage Huntsville, as my co-host is having technical difficulties. And then we'll kind of pick up when she comes back in. So as y'all know, Love and Marriage Huntsville is on Saturday nights. I don't have my notes because usually my co-host has our notes that we kind of follow along as she presents the topics. But from memory, I know that we thank God, because I was like, she has our Love and Marriage Huntsville notes as we're going to transition into that when she comes back. So you got that floor, girl. What was our first scene?
Okay, girl, I didn't start taking notes until the comeback meetup, but
that sounds about right. Because I was like, from memory,
one part I want to talk about before we go into that meeting is Mel met up with her attorney, right? And Mel was talking about we're finally getting, like that fourth wall broken, and we're understanding. Mel is actually currently going through a custody battle with Martell, and this man has been in her presence while she's going through this. This is showing the audience how this has been uncomfortable, and this has been inappropriate for her to have to be around someone that's trying to take her children away. I don't have love for you. I don't want to be nice to you. I don't want to sit and talk to you. I don't want to, nothing with you right now when you're trying to take my children from me. So we got like some things about her wanting to change back to her maiden name, which is Rogers. And right now she's going by Melody Cherie because she's not going by Holt. But because she is currently in a court case, she can't change her name legally right now. She can't do anything. So that's one reason why you know what I mean? It's still Melody Holt. Because a lot of people were saying, like, why you don't want to be with him? Why you keeping his name? Well, she can't lose it just yet. This has been the problem. So I'm happy that was addressed. One thing that they talked about was the stuff that he's been asking for. Like during this custody battle, her social media passwords. Girl, why would your ex-husband need access to your social media passwords when he wants custody of the children? What the hell does her social media have to do with you custody? Karma, why?
So there was an ask from Martell's legal counsel, which is they did grant him this when they ended up like concluding their custody, which is crazy because the custody itself, the order stayed the exact same as it was when he filed for it. They are back to their original 1 week on, 1 week off, but he did ask for his kids not to be placed on social media. So I don't know why he needed to request her passwords, because y'all could have just looked at her social media if there was concerns about the kids being in social media. I'm not even sure why you didn't want your kids on social media, knowing that your youngest daughter has a shampoo line. So her advertisement is needed. But again, we now get more understanding that Martell is spiteful. And these are spiteful, and a lot of people see it with women. You don't see it as much with men, but you know how women will try to take men to court for child support, but they intentionally do it in order to get increases that maybe they know they don't have, and they try to manipulate or abuse court systems in their favor. This is an example of a male doing that. You're trying to abuse the court system and keep somebody's money tied up and keep things going with continuances just to get on somebody's goddamn nerves.
Yes.
So that's why he did it. It was just out of spite.
No, I think he really wanted passwords to kind of see if she DMing people. Because he also wanted to know who she is dating. Why is that your business? Like, as a person that is going through a divorce, that is the most ridiculous shit I have ever heard in my life to ask for. And I'm just saying, as a person, I would never go to my husband and say, I need access to your passwords if you're gonna take our son for the weekend. What?
Again, Martell is giving bitter baby mama, because that's what bitter baby mamas do, is who you dating, and I need to know who it is before my kid come over there, and what's this and what's that. He's giving bitter baby mama. That's what I said. Most people only seen women do it, but this is a prime example that when we are cool, calm, and collective, some of these baby daddies be just as atrocious.
But my question is, which I need the attorney, are you giving up your social media passwords?
Mel never asked for anything. She never asked for the custody battle. She never asked for passwords. She never asked for child support. So there was no ask on her side, except for maybe I think she might have asked for the custody records to be sealed, and maybe one other ask. But she wasn't asking him for anything because she doesn't care.
And I get that, but I'm saying, would he be willing to give it? Because you're asking something that I don't think you're willing to do. You know, like that's the weird part to me. Like, passwords, Karma. Like, how do you even explain the password? You can't.
Well, it had to be in the brief, because anytime you put in a motion, you have to put in the ask and the reason for the ask and all of that. So I don't know what they said that made sense, but the judge denied it.
Yeah, the balls to ask to me. It's the balls to ask for something. I understand. I got a friend that still goes through custody battles with her kid's father because she got married, you know, new guy, and he like, you know, just trying to keep buzz going. Like, so he does. She got to go to court every few months. He do some weird stuff, and he does keep it going, and it's ridiculous. And a lot of stuff gets thrown out. So I've heard a lot of different things that they ask for. Like, and she calls me and updates me, and I'd be amazed. But the password one was new to me. I
got one for you. I have somebody, when they were going through a custody battle, the person tried to ask if they had car insurance, because then their complaint was, you driving my kid uninsured. When I say it gets so petty, and the things that people like, I have seen quarterback, like the custody cases be off the chain. The way people would try to make a person seem like an incompetent parent when it really isn't that.
Yeah.
They'll grasp for straws to make it happen.
That is crazy. I was like, that stood out to me so much. Okay, but let's go to the comeback group meeting.
Oh wait, you didn't have any thoughts on Lewis telling Tiffany to shut her damn mouth?
I was happy about that.
Okay.
Lewis did tell Tiffany when she, after, you know, she gets home from the hospital or whatever, they kind of rehashed the situation with the Martell thing. And Tiffany's biggest thing is, I just feel like I could be helped to Mel and Martell with co-parenting and blended families. And he was like, how many times has Mel asked you advice on co-parenting? How many times? And she was like, none. She doesn't. Okay. A person has to be receptive for it. You don't just offer it. It's not for you. And then he said, don't do that no more, because you're getting me in mess. And she said, how am I getting you in mess? What do you mean? When you get approached by Martell and Marceau and you run home to Lewis crying and shit, talking about those men couldn't fuck me, you're getting him involved in shit. That's exactly what you're doing. And one day you're going to have Big Lou try the wrong person over your stuff, Tiffany. I was happy Lou did say that. I felt like it wasn't enough, but I was happy he did say it, because I felt like
he also know who he married.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure I'm sure we'll see Tiffany do Tiffany shit in the future. But I think what he was trying to do is rein her in. Like, okay, that's too far. I know you like to run your mouth and be nosy in people's business, but that time was a little too far. So maybe we'll see it run back a little bit with Tiffany. I'm sure she's still going to be nosy, but hopefully she listens to her husband. We'll see.
And one thing she did say was, I think it was my approach. I think it was what, you know, like I asked certain stuff and the way I asked it wrong. And that's exactly, we've been saying that since you first came on. You have no coof. You have no coof. You need to work on coof. To be an educated, professional boss lady, you have no coof. You need to work on it.
I really want to see what's wrong with them. Because remember when they was here last season, the moment Dr. Francis started trying to get in their marriage, they disappeared off our goddamn screen, right? Mm-hmm. If we're going to have, I don't know what Tiffany and Lewis's like roles are really on the show. Like, we have these two other couples. We got Stormy and we got Tiffany. And it's like, so are we going to see more of what's going on with them? Or are they here to just support the mess and of the core six? Because they don't even really make it to the photo drop. I don't really understand.
Lewis ain't on here. I just wanted to put that up there because they not here.
Or Kiki. I mean, they're in the intro of the show, but they're not part of the promotion. I don't understand how invested I'm supposed to be with these other people. If you're going to extend the ensemble from, you know, these three couples to like 5 or 6, then I think that needs to be better orchestrated. I just get confused on it.
I mean, again, we don't. What do we see? I mean, I guess we've seen them go to the doctor for the pregnancy and the aftermath of this situation, but we really don't see anything in their marriage. How are your boys adapting to you having this baby?
That's what I'm saying. This all goes back to production and storyboard and questions in the damn confessional. So you got the baby now. So y'all agreed on that. Can we go back to last season when y'all were having conversations about it and y'all had the retreat and all of that? Can we get some connection on why we never saw them again into this new storyboard?
Yeah. And also, like if you're such an expert on co-parenting and blended family, why don't we see that?
Where is y'all co-parenting? Because they both had kids in different marriages, right?
Now, I think her first husband passed, right? So we can't see the co-parenting with that.
But so do they not talk to that side of the family?
Exactly. The family.
What's that dynamic like? Because if you get on our nerves, do you get on their nerves?
Right.
How do they feel?
And they got real. So Tiffany, what's it like co-parenting with Lewis's ex-wife? Like, I mean, come on.
Because you get on our nerves. Lewis's ex-wife's nerves. Do you ask her these inappropriate questions about their kids? Where are y'all kids? Why don't we see them?
ever.
I don't know how much to get invested with Tiffany and Louis, because I really just don't understand. I don't understand what they're here for.
Right. I'm with you. All right, meeting, comeback group. Mel and Kimmy get there first, and they kind of talking about it amongst themselves to just see that some shit ain't really right.
Because Kimmy the MV motherfucking P.
Yes, she is. And we like, this is the Kimmy that we all have loved from the first
day one, where
right?
she told Mel she was bougie, and she said, I said what I said. I've always loved Kimmy.
But we love Kimmy because Kimmy's able to be intelligent and actually have boundaries and function as an adult. Like, just because you mad at her about something, you can't tell me I can't talk to her. Like, Kimmy is an adult, and she's able to have adult relationships and stand on it. So when Kimmy was kind of becoming Team Scott's, and it kind of was like, Kimmy's not actually showing the Kimmy we got used to, it was an issue. But we see our Kimmy coming back. We do see our Kimmy starting to rise back, and it makes me feel like Maurice needs to be careful, because she get her full Kimmy back, and if you still on the same crap you want, you might not have your wife. But the group come in, everybody come in. One thing was interesting, how Martell was like, hey man, hey, like, don't bro, we probably just went to court yesterday. Absolutely not. That's the thing that I need people to understand, is what they're putting Melody through with this filming. You have to constantly film with somebody that is trying to ruin your life. Take your kids. They want your passwords. Like, come on. And he like, hey, how you doing, Mel? Boy, if you don't I
have one critique with Mel for this season, is that I wish she was more transparent and upfront about the emotions that she's experienced with learning how to deal with Martell. I know that she stated she didn't want to go into details of custody, but she could have went into her feelings about it. Like, she could have said, I can't go into some of the things he's asked, but it's being very intrusive. I'm not able to change my name. But I feel like we haven't had enough of seeing Melody's private emotional moments like we used to when she went to go talk to her brother in the midst of the divorce. Like, I'm not seeing enough of Mel's dynamics of how she managed through the custody, where she would talk to her mom about it. She used to talk to Miss Van about the divorce all the time. We didn't get any of that of the custody portion. And I think that was the disconnect of why people thought Mel was being a bitch. If Mel's story would have been her emotional journey of the custody battle, I feel like it would have been a lot more impactful in understanding the dynamic of why she acts that way when Martell is seen. I also thought, out of anybody in the core 6, that she would have had more conversations with Kimmy.
Yeah.
During this time as her on screen, because I understand why she don't talk to Tisha now, but I think her and Kimmy having more conversations about her emotional distress and what it is like to having to film, to what he is doing, would have painted a better picture last season and this season for Mel, because it just got over with.
I feel like at one point Mel didn't know if she could trust Kimmy, and that's where that was at. I feel like
even if it wasn't with Kimmy, they could have brought her brother on screen. We could have brought Miss Van back on. I needed to see another dynamic with Mel, and right now what we're getting from Mel, which I understand, is Mel is playing it safe, and everybody else gonna have to bring some story to the table, and that's why it's dry.
And I think that was when I was disappointed in Kimmy, because I could understand how it was looking like, well, damn, Kimmy, are we friends or are we not friends? Because you over here talking about some Martell's a really good guy, and like, you know what he's doing. Why would you say that? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I felt like Mel had moments where she was like, okay, so none of these people are for me, because first of all, he brought the side chick around all of them. They all knew. No one was reaching out to me saying anything. You know what I mean? So Mel had a trust thing, and I can understand that, because you don't know who got your back. You got Letitia, who was obsessed with being jealous of you for whatever case, and then Kimmy, who at one point seemed to be Team Scott. I gotta shut up because I'm a Scott now and I really can't say
Or
nothing.
just the fact that Kimmy, like you said, would say things like, Martell's a good guy. I feel like the guys being cool with Martell would make sense to Mel, right? Because they were friends, so they gonna support the effery anyway. But the women and their response and how they just kind of allowed Martell to be in spaces where I would have, if it was my friend and my spouse was cool with all of that, I'd have excused myself because we ain't got nothing to talk about.
Right.
I'm not about to sit here and kiki or go out on double dates with them. I don't like him. So if you want to go out with him, you go out with him. But ain't no foursome after what he did to my friend because y'all still friends.
Right.
Ain't never going to be. I'm not going to their wedding.
I think, and this is off topic and we're going to get back to it, but I think that's kind of how Phaedra felt with the Kandi thing because Kandi and Todd were steady doing things for Apollo when Kandi, the way they portrayed it was Kandi and Phaedra were really, really tight. So Kandi should have been able to have that boundary. Kandi should have had that boundary because Apollo leaving stuff at the house and doing all this, and you're like, oh well, yeah, Todd's cool with them, but you my friend. So I do get that, like again, I could understand how someone could.
Yeah, Phaedra just went about it the wrong way because she was not, again, that communication. Phaedra and Marlo have some similarities because Phaedra, with her fake Christian persona that she gave off, if you would have told Kandi directly, listen, this is why I'm beefing with you, is you keep telling me that it is because Apollo it's Apollo's friends with Todd, but since you're my friend, I wanted you to check Todd, or I wanted you to give me a conversation and just let him know, hey, my friend will have an issue with this. Can he find somewhere else to put it so we're not in the middle of it? Can you pay your little friend a storage because I don't feel comfortable with having my friend's ex-husband bringing that shit here? So maybe you should tell your little friend to pay for a storage bin or something. Maybe you should try that. And if Phaedra was honest and then gave Kandi some examples of some other shit I would have liked you to do, instead you act like you were mad, then you were okay, and then you was back mad, then you made up a whole lie.
She totally went the wrong way. And I think that is something that we as a people have to do better at, is communicating, because a lot of these conflicts and these issues could totally be left they could be resolved or not even come to fruition if we just communicate it. You know what I'm saying? You have to communicate certain stuff. I remember the situation and this is how I communicate. I'm blunt, again, fire sign. I'm just gonna tell you. You might not like it, I'm gonna tell you. I remember when an ex-boyfriend of mine, my high school sweetheart, and one of my friends that I was hanging with at the time, like, was thinking about going out and being like going and kicking it or whatever. So they called me, and I think they called because he was like, you need to check with her first, make sure she all right with that. You know what I'm saying? Before we do this or whatever. So they called me like, hey, what would you think about it? We were like, date. And I was like, hell no. I don't like that shit. I don't like that. If this is your person and y'all gonna be happily ever after, I can't block that, but me and you can't kick it no more. We're not going to double date with a nigga that I actually was in love with. I'm not going to do that with you. And I think sometimes people try to like play it off like, whatever, do whatever you want to do. I don't care. No, I cared and I said something. So I think, and they ended up not doing it because I said something. So sometimes you can avoid conflict by just saying it. Because I could have played it off and been like, oh, okay, that's fine. Y'all grown. Y'all can do whatever y'all want. I ain't with him no more. Whatever. I don't care. And then they would have dated, and I would have been pissed on the side, like, talking about them and, envious or jealous or whatever. And it would have been like, well, why you mad? You said it was cool. Yeah, I don't play them games. I'm going to tell you up front. And if you do it then, I have an attitude. At least you know. And it's not like confusing why I did this. So, yeah, I do feel like we just have to communicate with one another and tell people what we need from them, what we expect, you know what I mean? Our boundaries, and it'll help. I really do think it'll help. But okay, here we go. Letitia says she has decided that no one participating from this group will be getting paid from the Black with the Q Expo. Okay. Kimmy mentions that Letitia keeps mentioning the comeback group because she kept saying stuff about the comeback in her presentation this time. And she's like, well, you keep mentioning the comeback group. And I'm trying to see like how this Black Expo is basically different from the comeback group, because you're basically taking ideas that we came up with in the comeback group and now you're presenting them under Black, so this is really a comeback initiative situation. Martell also was saying how, and it made me mad that he threw Melody out there, because it seemed like he trying to make it out like he that good guy that he always keep trying to let us know. Well, the only person that Mel's a public speaker, so for you to say someone can't get paid for it when that's what she does, she goes out and she's a public speaker. I don't think that's really fair.
That's
And
because he wanted the child support when he did that order.
She should get paid. Pay her.
We want her to get those speaking gigs.
Right. Marceau says anyone that wants to get paid is basically greed. They disagree with that. Mel mentions her Mel and Mimosa situation when no one has ever sponsored her situation. When she does it, she's been doing it for years now. No one, because Letitia was saying this, we are going to get paid to support one another when we do endeavors. And Mel was like, well, I've been doing one event for years and no one has sponsored or anything. So then Letitia was like, well, I think it's crazy that you mentioned that when I tried to support you and you kicked me out. Mel said, I didn't say support, I said sponsor. Correct words. And I was like, yes, she did say sponsor. Plus, y'all weren't kicking it at the time. Y'all was having issues. Why would I want you in my stuff? Like, we got to be honest about this kind of situation. This is that production situation again, where they try to put you in these situations that would not normally happen. If me and you are beefing at the moment, heavy, and you have an event, I'm not coming. Like, but you came because you wanted a moment. So Mel gave it to you. Like, that's kind of how I looked at it. Like, here you go. Here's your moment. You're kicked out. Kimmy also was talking more about the comeback group and how it's stealing basically ideas and putting on your name. Then Maurice jumps in and says the same thing. Like, yeah, this is the comeback group. That's what this is. This is the stuff that the comeback group has discussed, the stuff that we have planned. You guys are now going forward with it under a different name. And that's the problem. So what did you think about that meeting, about the stuff they were saying? Agree with anybody, disagree? What was your thoughts?
I personally, I'm not fans, and I'm mad she still has my name. I'm not a fan of Letitia and Marceau as a whole, because I feel like they're being very disingenuous with this whole entire Black Expo situation. Letitia, I don't think you decided anything. I think Marceau told you that he wasn't paying anybody because he said this 3 episodes ago that he wasn't going to pay nobody. So I don't think you came to that conclusion. I think Marceau told you that was your conclusion.
Yeah.
I also think that y'all didn't even have a sponsorship idea, like Mel said, until it came up. So where is that money going to go? I think these are legitimate questions to ask. And if they weren't going to be paid, if at least you put it under the comeback group, there could have been a tax write-off that could have benefited everybody.
Yeah.
But that ain't even an option either. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, y'all are being disingenuous. And I allegedly, I feel like in my gut, they're having financial problems because of moving to an apartment.
Well, they moved in that apartment for sure.
That really just was a red flag for me. So I don't trust right now anything that they're talking about. Something in the money is funny. And I believe that y'all are doing this, even if it's a free community event, y'all are going to get publicity because it's a Black event. Like, to say that you're not benefiting from this is crazy. And they're asking how can they benefit from it? And it's a problem. It's greed. If you wanted to do it, like, if you really wanted to do this with no benefit, no money or anything like that, why are you even hosting it at Black? Why didn't you pick a neutral location? Why didn't you pick another small business or Black business at the area and ask them to host the event so their business would be able to get the highlight and support and you paid them? So miss me with this isn't going to benefit y'all in some back end of it. Either you're going to get it in the consumer portion of people buying things. I'm sure you'll have some type of merch or your fake hair care line that Tisha done started. You're going to have some things that is going to benefit y'all, like Kimmy said, because y'all ain't putting all this money out here and being in the black.
Right.
I don't.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that next episode is gonna get heated? Because Maurice, it seemed like through the previews, he kind of got upset with it. It does feel like Marcel and Letitia are just snakes.
I think this is what I think. They're gonna have a heated discussion, as every comeback group is that we've seen since season 1.
Yeah.
No resolve is gonna come from it, except I'm not doing it. And then Letitia and Marceau will feel like they have to prove themselves, and then they'll do their own event.
Yeah.
Under black without their support, and it'll still be drama because you copied our idea.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna see the event sometime in the season, and we're gonna see a bunch of extras. I bet you lines ain't gonna be around the door. I bet you we just gonna see a couple. It's gonna look like Destiny's
thing. Yep.
my gut is telling me it ain't gonna look like what y'all about to make it sound like.
Yeah.
That's what I think's gonna happen.
Carlos, if your cast members are having some financial troubles, I'm gonna need you to do something. Like, what's up?
Well, we get a part B when it comes to, we get the part A and the part B, which I don't know why they film like that. That's another discussion, but we'll get a part B of the season.
Yes.
So maybe it'll come up there. I don't know, but there is some financial issues that Carlos needs to pull up out of there, and we need to talk about, so that Kimmy can ask, is this why I wanted to do the black event? Because Kimmy gonna get to the questions in a very nice, couth way that Tiffany could never.
Tiffany could definitely take some notes from Kimmy. When Kiki has said to Tiffany, you can learn from me, and she's like, oh no, maybe you can, girl, because even though Kiki be doing some stuff, she still don't be uncouth as Tiffany. Tiffany just, girl,
the Kiki communication issue is, I didn't mean to say what I just said to you. So the only effective communicator is Kimmy.
It's Kimmy.
Kimmy is very clear, very blunt. I like Kimmy a lot. Is there issues with Kimmy, like we already pointed out? Yes, but overall, she's the best communicator on the show.
No, Kimmy's an amazing communicator. Like, amazing. I'm a millimeter.
Mel shuts the fuck down.
Yeah, but see,
after Mel cuss you out and said what she gonna say, you're done. You're dead.
I'm more like Mel. I can relate to Mel. I communicate like that. Like after a while, no.
Mel gets done, she shuts down, and you don't exist, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, but and I relate to that with Mel. But again, the mature side of me knows that Kimmy does it correctly. And it makes the most sense when Kimmy does it. And it's respectful. And if you are a logical person, you can't help but appreciate the way Kimmy presents it and the way she comes at you. You can't. You could try to be like Letitia would try to be upset with Kimmy, but you really, logically, you can't, because she's not disrespectful. She's not rude. She's very clear. She's not unclear. There should be no room for miscommunications when Kimmy does it, because again, Kimmy does it. So I thought the show was all right. Again, I like that Louis stood up for herself. I'm still pissed on the passwords, and definitely Letitia and Marceau can kick rocks, not giving nobody no money, especially when they're gonna be making money. I know y'all not about to just not be making money. We're not stupid here, like, it's not right. How does this benefit everyone else? Because it's definitely going to benefit you. Number one, it's under Black's name. How is it going to benefit us to be there and work for free? What are they getting from this? Because they already have a platform, which is called Love and Marriage Huntsville. They don't have to do your Black event to get exposure or anything like that. So what is going to benefit them?
And if we're going to be honest, there is not one free community event that the sponsors also don't benefit. So if they're going to give you product, the marketing of it, my name got to be on the shirt, or we'll give you a certain amount of water bottles. It is a tax write-off for them. And then they also are able to market the product in which they're giving to. So to sit here and act like there's not a give and take, even when it is a free event for the community, it is never free for the people behind the scenes. It is some form of other benefit on the back end. So I don't know why they acting dumb, which lets me further know their business acumens are questionable to me. Because you didn't even know about sponsorship until Melody introduced it in the conversation. I want their financials pulled. I don't believe it.
I'm with you. Well, that's it. Guys, we coming back Friday with hot topics, and y'all, this week I have been seeing some stuff. So
hot topics gonna be good on Friday.
They are. So y'all just come back with us on Friday at 7 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook, or and join in on the conversation. We love to read your comments and see what y'all say. Invite a friend, and we'll talk to y'all Friday. Bye, guys.